This week on the podcast, we discuss video games that need their own anime adaptations. Then we get into Serial Experiments' Lain finale on our weekly anime book club. But first, we deliver some anime news with the passing of Berserk's author and some never-before-seen anime trailers. But if you don't know already, you're listening to the Sunovageek podcast.
Son of a
Hey, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Zeo.
And this is our podcast.
That we created, and we gave birth to it. We fed it. Spen breastfed it, gave it lots of nourishment, and then I came in and bottle fed it because we disagreed on how we should feed it, which one was better for raising the child, and then we took it to school. We gave it a proper education, and now we're going to set it free in the world to do what it wants to do.
Yeah, and fun fact, ever since the podcast was released, the world has been hit by a pandemic known as the coronavirus.
Yeah, that happened.
Was it directly related?
Who knows?
So, Mr. Zeo, hit me up with some of this sweet news, because I've got a little bit to share with you as well.
I've got lots of news, lots and lots of news. So first off, we're going to just start off with a little bit of a sad note.
The big banger of everything.
The big banger of everything. Unfortunately, the author of the Berserk Manga series passed away earlier this month.
Yeah.
He was only 54. Apparently died of a heart attack. Way too young, unfortunately. A sad moment. The Berserker series has been going on for a long time. I don't know if you know when it started, but it started in 1989.
That's insane.
So it's been going on for a while. I was reading about it on Reddit, and then I saw people are wondering what's going to happen with the series. And to them, I say, damn it, man, have some compassion.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. But yeah, it's sad. Thoughts and prayers out to the family. So hopefully they're doing okay. No, they just had the funeral this week.
It's an insane, absolutely insane manga. There is a huge,
Oh, yeah.
It used to be almost a cult following, but I feel like it's transcended past that now.
Yeah, it's bigger than that now. I mean, it also was a very influential manga because it pushed the boundaries of like what's acceptable in manga or going to anime, and it pushed a lot of those limits. So it became kind of like a starting off point for a lot of other animes.
Yeah, except it had a very terrible anime adaptation.
Yes, the anime adaptation is not good. Luckily, it's not related to the manga artist at all.
But it was one of the first ones that went for that 3D look, though, wasn't it? Or not, maybe it wasn't the first, but when it came out, it was kind of at the starting trend.
It was in that early stage where it was really terrible. Nothing good about it. It's better now, but I still don't think it's better than just drawings.
No, I mean, it looks great for 3D when you see like the still images and stuff like that, but it just...
Mm-hmm.
It just struck. I don't know. 3D's tough to do for anime because there's a lot of people that go to do 3D, but they come from like an anime and 2D background, and so it's a kind of a hard transition. And then other companies and businesses like Disney, somehow they managed to just take it off in ways we could never imagine.
Yeah, well, they probably spend a lot more money on their 3D animators than an anime series does.
Well, that's very possible.
But anyway, Spen, let's move on to some great, fun, exciting news now. We brought the podcast to a low. Now we're taking it back up a notch to the high. You ready for this?
I'm very ready.
Okay, Spen, there are lots of trailers that came out this week. We have trailers for days. So,
trailers for
starting
what?
at the bat, Days.
What is that? What I've never heard of Days before. What's that?
Trailer for Days.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I see what you were going for with it.
Days.
Okay. What kind of trailers do we have then?
Starting off, we have a season 2 trailer for I'm Standing on a Million Lives.
Really?
I remember we briefly watched the first season, right? Yeah, you loved it, I think. I thought you really liked it.
It was so good.
But yeah, season 2's coming out. They have a trailer. It just came out.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I really liked it. I just had flashbacks of parts of the show. I'm like, oh wait, no, I thought it was amazing, and then I just liked it.
But yeah, season 2 is coming out. They have a trailer. Go check it out, everybody, if you haven't seen that yet. It looks exciting. I actually have it on my watch list to finish watching because I only ever seen the first episode. I was waiting for dub to come out, and now it's fully released and whatever. Anyways, we also got a trailer for That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, Season 2, Part 2.
Yeah.
So that's out as well. If you want to go watch that, you can go check that out. Thirdly, we have Fate Grand Order Final Singularity Grand Temple of Time Solomon. That's a long ass title.
It is, but you know what that means? Zeo's gonna want to watch it.
I do want to watch it now because of the absurdity of the title. After that, we have Komi Can't Communicate, which is a whole new anime that hasn't been seen yet. That trailer I'm personally really excited about. It's about a person who has an anxiety disorder with communicating with others, and this one boy finds out about it, and he's trying to communicate with her throughout the anime. From what it seems like, it's about a lot of writing. So I don't know how exciting that's going to get, but it seems like it can be a touching story.
Well, that's kind of exciting.
Last but not least, Ben, your favorite video game series ever, Resident Evil, has a trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Resident Evil Infinite Darkness has, that one guy from Resident Evil and another person from Resident Evil, and they have guns and they shoot zombies. So if you like Resident Evil, go check that out.
Hey, that's kind of exciting.
And that's all the trailers for days that I have.
Well, you know how Demon Slayer is your favorite anime of all time?
Absolutely, Spen. I just never stop talking about it.
Have you actually seen Demon Slayer?
Yeah, actually I have.
Okay.
I've watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then I'm like, maybe I should do an abridged version of this because it seems like fun. And then I just haven't watched or pursued that thought at all.
The new movie that came out for it, it is now the number 2 highest earning anime film ever at the US box office as of Friday.
What's number 1?
Well, number 1 is Pokemon the first movie.
Oh my god, how close is it?
So the Pokemon the first movie, this came out 21 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
They took into consideration inflation when calculating the number. But so if it came out today and earned this and had the same amount of people attend, it earned $85 million.
Okay.
Can you guess how much Demon Slayer made?
43 million. Oh, dang it.
So it's
shit.
half pretty much.
Still, that's pretty good.
So it made exactly $43,956,478 at the time of this article, and which beat out Pokemon 2000, the movie that had made $43,758.
Nice.
Or $43,758,000.
Spen, how much money is that in yen?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
But it's crazy. Pokemon 2000 and Pokemon the first movie were the top 2 highest grossing anime movies of all time in the US until just now.
I mean, it makes sense. Pokemon is a worldwide phenomenon.
But that's how many years is that now? How often does the normal films, how often does a new one take the record? Every couple years or so, it seems like.
No, that's not true.
Really?
Titanic was the highest grossing movie of all time until Avatar. And then Avatar was the highest grossing movie of all time until the Avengers Endgame.
Really?
Yeah, each of them were 10 years between each other.
Oh, so that's a little more spread out than I thought. I just assumed that it was just every couple of years. Oh, here's a new one.
No.
Well, I need to do more research.
Yeah, I know all about movies, Ben. This should have been a movie podcast. I talk about a lot of movies.
You wanted to do that, but I watch more anime than I watch movies.
That's fair.
We'd be in opposite shoes here. The only difference is I would still be in charge of the podcast, so then I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
That's fair. I have one last bit of news, though, Spen, and then that's all. We have no more news for the week. Nothing else happened after this one bit of news.
Wow. All right, well, what is it?
My Hero Academia, The Strongest Hero, is officially out on iOS and Android today. Today, Spen.
Wait. The Strongest Hero, that's the new movie.
It's a game.
Oh.
The game is out on iOS and Android. Wait, is it a movie?
I thought it was supposed to be a movie.
Yeah, it's a video game.
Dang it. Well, isn't there a third movie?
I don't know if that was called The Strongest Hero, though, was it?
World Heroes Mission. Okay.
Oh.
Cool. All right. I was just really? We're canceling the podcast. I'm watching the movie.
Yeah. Are you excited, though? You gonna go play it on your phone since you love phone games so much?
Probably not.
Are you excited that it came out today, the day of our podcast?
Oh, wow. Well, technically, it came out a few days ago.
Well, I mean, technically, it actually came out Wednesday. I was just hoping to hype you up about being out today.
Oh, okay.
And then I was gonna disappoint you, but no, it actually came out Wednesday.
Oh, well, sorry to take that away from you.
God dang it, Spen.
Well, I'm excited for movie 3. That's gonna be fun. I don't know if we even have a release date for it.
I don't know either. But that's not a part of the news this week. That was it. That's all the news that ever happened this week.
Oh, we got a release date leakage.
Oh, do we?
Yeah,
what is it?
Someone didn't screw the cap on tight enough. August 6th.
August 6th?
Yeah. World Heroes Mission. I'm excited for it.
World Hero.
The second movie was one of my favorites.
I haven't seen any of the movies.
Not to raise expectations, the first movie was one of my all-time favorite anime movies of all time. And then the second one came out, and I was like, oh, wow, this one almost beats it. You won't really like the second one as much as the first one, because the second one's more kind of like slice of lifey for the first little bit. But...
Are they canon to the story?
Yes.
Oh.
But the first movie takes place in the future, past where the anime's at right now.
That's weird.
Yep. And then the second one, or sorry, the second one takes place in the future. The second movie ends how the manga writer originally intended for the manga to end, but then the manga ended up just going on longer.
Okay.
So we kind of get like to see like an alternate ending of how the show could have ended. And then the first one takes place, I believe, because it's referenced in the anime. I believe it takes place before this. I think it's between like the 3rd and 4th season, because we're on the 5th season now.
All right.
But yeah, they're both canon to everything that goes on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming the next one will be too.
Maybe I'll check it out then, because I usually don't care about things that aren't technically canon, so I tend to just ignore that.
Well, these have both been shot out of a cannon, so you have no reason to not be excited.
Well, in that case, I really need to go watch it. Woo!
Before we get into the main topic, though, I just wanted to say, I'm on episode 7 of, oh god, what's it called? Full Dive, this ultimate next-gen full RPG is even shittier than real life.
Yeah, is it good?
I don't know. The concept of it's really cool. It's a lot slower for progression than I thought it would be, but they have a bunch of really neat things in it, and they've introduced, I don't know, it's hard to say anything about spoiling it, but it's okay. They definitely went a little into the fan service stuff that I was hoping they wouldn't.
Okay.
But it's small enough and it happens infrequently enough, and it's generally done funny enough that I can get past it. I don't know, it's okay. Don't rush yourself on checking it out. Instead, just go watch both of the My Hero movies.
Okay.
Because I believe they're both in, or at least the first one's in English, in dub. That's actually why I started rewatching My Hero in dub.
All right, well then, yeah, I'll go. I definitely want to check out those movies, and I'm not going to rush to watch that show because I'm waiting for the dub anyways.
Yeah, well, I doubt it's going to get one, and I hope it doesn't, because it doesn't deserve one, so.
Wow.
There's other things they should be dubbing instead, so that's my opinion.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm still enjoying it, so it's like kind of like a mixed thing where it's like, I don't know, but all right, you know? If I was to, oh shoot, I forget what our scale is again. What's the scale?
Yeah, nah.
Yeah or nah, or we could be like woo or boo. There's so many different things we could do with it.
Woo, boo. Yeah, let's do woo, boo.
Woo, boo. I'm gonna give it like a woo.
Okay.
You know, kind of like where it starts out, where you're like,
yeah, you're like, ooh, maybe.
I was about to make, oh god, this is very out of character for me, Zeo, but it's kind of like when, you know what? No, I'm not even gonna do it. I'm not even gonna do it.
No, I need to know now. I need to know. I must know.
It's like it's kind of like when you get really excited and things start to kind of like get a little chubby, but then immediately you're just like, oh, okay, and then it just like flattens back out. Right. It's like there's some potential there for a good time, but it's at the end you're just like, oh, okay, it's just like a normal thing. Again, it's not a very great one.
I enjoyed it. That was funny. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great.
All right, well, let's just carry on because I want to.
Yeah, we'll just move on to the topic.
So I thought it'd be kind of neat for us to go through and talk about different games that we've played in the past or have seen it played in the past that we think would be fantastic anime adaptations. Because there's a fair amount of games that have been done as adaptations and they've turned out great. There's been some that have turned out bad.
Well, I'm going to throw a little stipulation on here, Ben.
Yeah, go for it.
You can't say anything that is a JRPG.
Okay, that's fine.
I figured those are kind of natural givens to be anime adaptations.
So then something like The Witcher wouldn't work either. It's not really a JRPG, but it's...
Oh, it's not a JRPG, so that would work.
Okay. Although I think The Witcher's not really fair because they had a TV adaptation of it.
Doesn't mean they can't have an anime adaptation of it.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's fair. I was kind of thinking of more like trying to come up with ones that have never had an adaptation before.
Oh, well, that's fine. You can still do that. But I'm just saying, I feel like it's really easy to throw a JRPG that direction because Japanese RPG, they're kind of stylized like how maybe an anime series would go.
So I think what we should do, and I just thought of this now, I think it's something important to add in, so sorry for throwing this at you, Zeo, but anything that we go to recommend should not be something that can be like a graphic novel type of video game, like one of those, like for example, what happened with the Steins Gate games, where it's kind of like a game, but it's kind of like, it's like a choose your own adventure graphic novel, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I've got a strong one that I think would be really good.
Okay.
Right at the bat. When I say really good, I unfortunately probably would never watch this anime. However, I do think it could become a pretty sweet anime.
Okay.
I'm going to say Starfox. I think Starfox would be a great anime because one, you got the mecha fights going on in there, or you can make a mecha fight. It's like battleships and stuff. And then you have the anamorphic characters. Anamorphic? Is that it?
Oh shoot! I don't even remember what it is now.
Well, how do you say
like
the word?
Anthropomorphic.
Performance.
Anthropomorphic? No.
Animals that talk like people.
Anthropomorphic.
There we go.
Anthropomorphic.
You got the anthropomorphic.
No, there's no
animals.
It's anthropomorphic.
Oh, you got the anthropomorphic.
Yeah, there
animals.
You go.
There you go. You got the star battles. You got everything. It kind of fits perfectly into anime, especially after the hype and success of Beastars. I think high action is probably where it's going to have to fall into place. I would say somewhere between. I would like to see it kind of like Psycho-Pass, where it's a little darker. With the futuristic kind of thing going on, where it's more psychological. However, it'll probably end up being more like Gundam.
I guess I've never really played much of the Star Fox games to know for sure how that would turn out, except for the one where he was on Dinosaur Planet. But that doesn't really count. Although that one would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, you could do all kinds of things. Just send them to a new type of planet, new adventure every season.
Because it's got the characters and it's got the whole setting set up where you could really go many different directions with it.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that. One of the ones I've been thinking of kind of along the lines of that is I would love to see a Stellaris. No, wait, Stellaris is a video game. What am I...
Isn't that the point? We're looking at video games that can be animes?
Oh my god, Zeo, I just had the biggest brain fart. It's like for some reason the whole concept of it just got mixed up in my head. Yeah, I want to see Stellaris as an anime.
Isn't that like a man, RTS?
Well, kind of, yeah. It's like a 4-time strategy game.
So how would you make that an anime?
What's really neat about Stellaris is Stellaris has a huge part. Like there's tons of different worlds, and there's tons of RPG elements kind of built into the game, where as you're exploring through the world, there's these different events that pop up. And you have to like choose different outcomes, and it always talks about like these scientists going on different expeditions and giving you these big like optional things you can read out to kind of see the backstory of like what's going on with the mission, how the mission turns out. And I'd love to see one kind of like how they do, what was it? It was like Death, Love, and Robots.
Okay.
I would love to see something kind of like that, but with Stellaris, and how it's just a bunch of different stories from in the universe.
Yeah, just a bunch of like serialized stories, or sorry, episodic stories.
Yeah, because although there's a lot of stuff that's different every playthrough depending on what kind of race and choices you choose, there's a lot of background events in the universe that kind of are universal between all of them in a sense. So it'd be neat to see how it was going on. And it could also be one that's really interesting where it just takes like a small section or part of the game and it does a whole, almost kind of like how, I guess, Gundam in a sense, the big space wars and battles and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I think that would be really cool. I would absolutely love that. Because they've got a lot of lore and story elements implemented into the game already that would translate pretty well into an anime, in my opinion.
All right. Well, what do you think about this one then? I got another one for you.
Yeah.
So, what I think would be a really great anime would be God of War.
God of War would make a good one.
Yeah, you'd stylize it like Berserk or even like Goblin Slayer, you know, where you have the brooding hero and you just have all these side characters that kind of come in to fill the void of him not talking. So, and have just these brutal brutal action scenes and just gore and be super dark, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Would you want to go and adapt like one of the game stories, or have it like a side story or something like that?
I'd probably just go through the games. I think it would be interesting because what you could do is you can probably hit, you could probably hit the first 3 games in a season. It's natural to feel like you could do 1 game a season. But what I would really like to see is his second story after the first 3 games, when he has a son and stuff, to see that growth and the change of characters.
Oh, that would be really cool.
I would kind of rush through the first season to show like his brutality and everything, and then the second season come at us when he's all calm and stuff.
Yeah, that would be really sweet to see. That's another really good one.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Mass Effect animated show?
There's a Mass Effect animated show?
There is.
Oh. No, I haven't seen it. Is it about the main character, or is it just in the same universe?
It's in the same universe. I believe it references the main character, but it's side characters. As far as I know, I haven't seen it myself. This actually just made me think about it. Because I guess No Man's Sky actually did a Mass Effect crossover. Which is kind of
they did. Toll was gushing all about it in our Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, the ship looks really cool in the game too.
It does. Was that your game, or?
Well, because the reason why I thought about it is I saw the picture of Mass Effect in the No Man's Sky, and it made me think that I don't believe Mass Effect would make a very good anime unless it was a side story not related to the main character. But then I don't think it would fit in with kind of what we're talking about here. Because I think the story of Mass Effect is so big, and there's so much stuff going on with so many different locations, and it works well as a video game. But if you were to turn that story into an anime, I don't think it would go well. There'd be too much that would have to be crammed in.
Yeah, I also feel like the characters are a little too grounded for the anime. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like Mass Effect is, even though it's obviously fantastical in space and there's lots of action stuff, all the characters are designed to feel real. So they feel very grounded in level. As an anime, there's always archetype characters. There's not really like a character that's down to earth that everyone relates with. You kind of find a personality, and then that personality is like the one main factor of that person. And then you stretch that out a little bit after.
And Commander Shepard makes a great character to play as, but he would not be a fun character to see as the main character.
What are you talking about? It's like the perfect protagonist. Protagonists are usually boring. But I agree.
I guess I just don't really like the idea of him as
I agree. That's how you know. I say are usually boring. That's not necessarily true. Anime protagonists, while there are a lot of cliches, they often make them more unique than American protagonists. I find a lot of American protagonists the least exciting character in the show.
Well, because anime, you want something to be kind of generic enough that you can relate to it and kind of see yourself as the character. But then it also needs to have enough kind of stuff that's kind of full and exciting. And I feel like because it's the video game and playing as the commander, he's too much relatable in a sense by just being like so
whatever you want him to be.
Yeah, that he just wouldn't. I don't know. It'd be really tough because you'd have some people that are like, "Wow, that's amazing," and then other people where it'd just be like, "That's not."
What if it was
Shepard.
A choose your own adventure anime with Commander Shepard? Like, what if you have Commander Shepard as an anime character and you get to make his decisions for him, just like the video game, but like it'll stop and show him pondering for a moment, and then you make the decisions.
Name the last choose your own adventure show that you watched where you're like, wow, I'm really glad they did it this way.
Black Mirror Bandersnatch. I really enjoyed that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a choose your own adventure thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we talked about that. I haven't seen that yet.
It's not the greatest, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give that a shot and I'll hold off my opinion on that then.
Aha! I think another great game that would be a great anime is Dishonored. Have you ever played Dishonored?
I have.
I think that would be a cool anime. It's got that cool action. It has that sci-fi feel to it. It has powers and all this shit. And I think the world will be kind of fun to see.
Yeah, and there's enough kind of like political stuff going on in the background that it makes there's like a lot of reason for what he's doing and why he needs to do things.
I would style it after like Full Metal Alchemist. I think that would kind of be a good style for that game anime.
Oh, that would be kind of sweet.
Yeah.
I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
I would.
Because that was one of my favorite games just to go back and replay. Although it was mostly because I just like the stealth.
Yeah, I also love Dishonored. It was a lot of fun. It was one of my favorite games to play back in the PS4 or was it PS3? PS3.
Yeah, it was like the Xbox 360
yeah, PS3
era.
Yeah.
That's what I played it on.
Sorry.
Did you play the second one?
I did. I did play the second one. I didn't beat it. I never got into it as much as I got into the first one. There's something that just felt different about it for me.
Some of the maps in it, I believe, were expanded it a little bit more.
Yeah.
It wasn't as linear.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Dishonored didn't really feel like a linear game, it was very linear. It was always there. You had your clear objective. You know why you were going from one location to the next. Whereas with Dishonored 2, it felt kind of a little more open, a little too open.
Yeah.
So that sometimes I don't know, because I watched a streamer play it, and I didn't watch lots of it, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't have that singular driving force to really keep us going. Because I guess it's different too. I didn't see it at the beginning, so I don't know what the driving factor was.
Yeah. Maybe.
Whereas the first one, it was all about saving.
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Girl.
You play the girl, so I mean, she had a very similar situation where like you have to like break out. What's his name? Corvax, not Corvax. I felt like it started with a C. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm probably butchering it, but it was something to do with her trying to help him because he's in jail or something like that. I thought.
So you're trying to break him out of jail? I thought that happens pretty early on, though.
I don't remember, dude. I really don't. I don't. I'm making it up at this point. All right. So what else do you think would make a good anime?
I think this one's gonna catch you by surprise.
Ooh.
But Dead by Daylight.
I could see it.
Would make a really good anime.
Now, would you just adapt the game or just kind of put an anime in that world?
In a sense, I'd kind of adapt the game. Maybe do like shorter. I don't know. I guess it'd work better as like different movies. It'd essentially be just like killer movies. But I think it'd be really neat having like 4 different people trying to like escape. Maybe it's like some sort of like game show that they've been like kidnapped and put on, and then there's these murderers that are going around trying to take him out with like these different supernatural killer things or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be like a really good mix mash where, because I mean that's basically what it is. There's tons of different killers from all sorts of different places, but it's like some sort of game show that these contestants are trying to survive through. And every time they get put into it, there's like another supernatural killer that's like brought in to go and like try and murder them. And they've got to like get all the generators and get out of there. And yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually started playing the game and I'm really getting into it.
Oh, that's awesome. I always like the parkour element of it. I'm excited for the second one.
You see the parkour element?
The parkour.
There's not much of that. There's like little hopping over little bits of things.
Dead by Daylight?
Yeah.
That's the park.
Are you thinking of Dying Light?
Oh, I'm thinking of Dying Light. Never
Dying
mind.
Light's the zombie game.
Dead by Daylight is the multiplayer game. I got you. No, that'd be so cool. One. Yeah, I would love that because it'd be
where it's like the 4 survivors doing the generators.
Yeah, you'd obviously get more than 4 survivors. I think you'd probably anime like to have more characters. I think you would probably get like 7 to 9, right? And then you would have them.
That's why I'm thinking the game show aspect, where there's like a bunch of different rounds, and you get matched up with different people. Like each round, you got to try and like get through these supernatural.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm with you now. I was so confused at first. I'm like, I don't remember any of those things in that game.
If you're confused, ask questions. Don't just go along with it.
I was trying, but I was like, I haven't played this game in years. Let me think about this for a little bit and try to like remember the story. But no, I remember now.
There's no story to this. It's just survive.
I understand now. You've been playing Dead by Daylight?
I have been. I've been really enjoying playing the killer.
Oh man, I have the game. Oh man. Next time you play, let me know. I want to play with you.
Yeah. I like playing as the nurse. She's a lot of fun with all of her teleporting.
Okay.
But I think that would be a really great adaptation.
Yeah, that would be fun. One I think I'd really like to see would be Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, that would be good.
There's not a lot of Western animes for one.
No, the closest thing is Cowboy Bebop to anything that's good.
I would say
that's not Western. It's like Space Cowboy.
Yeah, it's like Space Cowboy. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of that. So I would love to see like a Western style anime for one. And then 2, you could just do so much with that. I think you could kind of over exaggerate these characters because everyone is kind of like got these crazy nicknames and stuff. It just fits anime perfectly.
That would be so sweet.
Yeah, I think that.
You know what? Thinking about it, I'd almost want them to do take one of the old like Clint Eastwood movies and just make like an anime of that. Just keep that like slow paced, guttural character type stuff and just give me one of those.
Yeah, that's what we need to do, Spen. We need to make our own Western anime.
Cool. We'll just put that on top of the pile of all the other ones that we wanted.
That's fine. We'll eventually get to it.
I want to see one over the top, like an absolutely crazy over the top anime of Rocket League.
Oh, how would they be like little people driving cars?
I think, no, I want it to be like life size.
Life size?
I want it like actual people in these rocket powered cars playing soccer.
No, I want real like teenagers playing with like RC cars, kind of like Beyblade. So like they just get really into it. It's like big tournaments and shit like that. So we have like the World Rocket League tournament, and then it's like a team of people like, come on, Takamoto, let's go, Kai. And then like they could like blow each other up and get them out of the game. Like,
no, I want it where it's like hardcore, like it's like a hardcore,
like Death Race.
I guess kind of like Death Race. I was thinking there's an anime about racing, and they like it's on like different planets. Redline.
Oh, okay.
I want like the style of Redline, but Rocket League.
I don't know if that would be as exciting though.
I think that would be really good. Why not?
I don't know. It's just for some reason I have a hard time picturing it.
It'd be challenging to pull off, but I like the idea of it being kind of like a little bit more of like the hardcore, where you get the team of racers going in. It's like almost like a demolition derby version of Rocket League, but with like rocket cars.
All right.
I guess it'd be really hard to do that in a believable way.
Right.
But I guess I'm not really going for believable in this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, anime, it's hard to say anime's believable, but yeah, sure, I'm with you. How about this? Well, how would you feel about Bioshock being an anime?
I think that would make a really potentially it could make a good one.
Yeah, it'd be hard though, because Bioshock doesn't have like a lot of protagonist characters. You just one or two maybe, and then everyone.
You'd have to expand all of the characters a little bit more.
I feel like you would have to create this whole a new story in the world for it to work. You know, like take that environment and that type of storyline, but just different characters fighting a different thing. Because in the end, it'd be like a group of heroes come to fight through the Big Daddy and the little sisters, and then in the end, they're gonna fight like a giant tentacle machine thing.
Okay, yeah, I can see that working then. You wouldn't be able to have as many of like the little in-between side baddies unless you went for like a very like shooter-esque massive murder kind of show.
Yeah, you could kind of do it like Persona.
I haven't seen the Persona show.
Oh my God, Spen.
I also haven't played the games.
Oh my God, Spen. You don't have a PlayStation, so it makes sense.
Yeah. No, I didn't have PlayStation until the PlayStation 3, and by then, Persona was. I think most Persona games were before that, weren't they?
There's quite a few before that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, most of them were before that. Yeah, Persona 4 came out on the PS2, I think.
Really? Is it that old?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So then the Persona 4 that came out recently, that was a remake.
That was You mean Persona 5?
Oh, Persona 5.
Yeah, Persona 4 Golden came out on like the PSP or the PS Vita. They recently, I think they might have actually recently released it for the PS4.
Oh, I'll have to take a look at that. I know I've wanted to get into them for a while.
Yeah.
But those are big, long RPGs, aren't they? They're like a good 60 hours at least.
Long. Yeah, they're a lot longer, but they're fun because they have like dating simulator in them where you can like build relationship with friends. I say dating simulator, but it's not quite like that.
But I've never cared about that kind of stuff.
It's not quite like that. It's just like you're building relationship with these people so you can get stronger powers with them, and then they have a nice story, and it's all about friendship. And
I like that in
world.
Shows, but I don't like that in. Maybe I'd like it then as a show, as an anime. I don't know. I've never liked that in video games. Like The Sims, I don't play Sims to be in relationships. I play Sims to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what some people play Sims for.
Okay, this is a little different. Imagine Planet Coaster, but it's kind of more of like the Danganronpa style, however that's pronounced.
What's Planet Coaster?
Where it's like Planet Coaster. It's kind of like the Roller Coaster Tycoon stuff.
Oh, okay.
But it's people. So it'd be kind of like I don't know if it'd be like a dark comedy one where it's like people designing roller coasters to murder people.
Okay.
Because I think that'd be pretty sweet.
So, or would it be just like you'd have like a slice of life where people work at this in like this theme park, right? So it's a slice of life where people work at this theme park, but yeah, it has that dark comedy element behind it where people are just dying.
Oh, I'm not even thinking slice of life. I'm thinking where it's almost like a I don't want to say robot chicken, because that's not kind of the vibe that I would want to go for. But the whole purpose is like it's about these people that work at the place and they're trying to create roller coasters that will kill people.
So
never mind. The more I talk about this out loud, the worse of an idea it becomes.
I'm with you, but like, hear me out. So slice of life. So it's about workers, not like the big heads, the big wigs that control the rollers, but just the everyday workers at this theme park. But it's stylized like, have you ever seen the show Superstore?
Yeah.
So think of Superstore, like it's just workers there, and then crazy dark shit's happening in the background. It's like these two guys like, oh, how was your day today? Oh, it's pretty good. And then like you see a roller coaster just crash and burn in the background behind them. So like they work at this death amusement park, but they have to because it's the only way they can survive.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
So it's just a slice of life, but it has a really dark premise behind it.
I like it.
It'd be great. So I got an interesting one that probably would not be a great anime, but I want to try to talk through it to see if we can make it a good anime.
All right, go for it.
Mario Brothers. So it's classic. Everybody always tries to want like something out of this, but your characters don't really do a lot of talking. How can we make it a good anime? What type of anime?
I'm going to tell you right now, as soon as you said that, every ounce of me was like, no, God, no. Please,
I know.
No.
That's what I'm saying. How do we make it a good anime, Spen? What do we do to it? What style of anime would it need to be?
I don't know. My first thought is to do kind of like one of those chibi versions, but then it would just suck no matter what.
Yeah, now, some people have already done like, when I was younger, I used to watch this like series where the guy did kind of like a machinima, but it was like Mario if he was like Dragon Ball Z, so he would like get a fire thing and shoot fireballs, and it was like an action style thing. So I don't want to do that. I want to try to make it different. I think it would be a fun slice of life because then you can do like Mario Tennis, Mario Olympics, Mario Go-Kart. So like just slice of life Mario. Because then you also have like Mario Party. You can take all those little extra Mario games and throw them into this anime.
So how would you present it then? Would it be kind of like just like the anime takes place after the shows or after all the games, and they've kind of all just like winded down, and they're like, well, we're tired of all this like fighting with each other. Let's just kind of have fun and play games.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like every episode is like a new bit of shenanigans. They're not really like an overall story going between them.
Exactly. It's just lighthearted shenanigans happening every day. Because like I said, one episode could be like Mario Tennis, and the other one could be like Mario Bowling. And then the other one could be like Mario Party. And then Mario Kart. All those things. It could just be every episode being a thing of them just hanging out, doing stuff together. And then Bowser would be like the kind of bad guy, but Mario's just trying to be his friend, but Bowser hates everybody. But Mario's better than him at everything.
Interesting. All right. I'd give that one a shot.
Okay.
All right. You've got me a little bit intrigued with that one. But looking at time, let's go 2 more each if we can think of any more, and then we got to talk about Serial Experiments Lain, and then what we're going to be watching after that.
Oh, okay. I don't really have much more after that. I was just kind of making stuff up as I go.
Well, I've got 2.
Okay.
One of them serious. One of them I think would be really stupid.
Okay.
But maybe funny.
Let's hear it.
So I'll go with my serious one first, and that is, oh shoot, what's it called again? Life is Strange. I think Life is Strange would make a fantastic anime.
How would it be? Like a mystery slice of life?
Just
kind of like Hayuka?
You would just adapt the game itself into an anime.
But how would you stylize it?
It would be kind of more like a supernatural adventure mystery, I guess.
Okay.
Well, you've played Life is Strange, right?
Parts of it.
Oh yeah, you didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I think it would fit really well as an anime because there's a lot of like in between stuff where you're going from one point to another where you can just like remove that stuff.
Yeah,
and then you've basically got like a story, and like you basically got the story there already ready to go.
Okay.
I don't know. I would just love to sit down and be able to just relax and watch it. It'd be great. I think that'd be a good one.
All right.
But the one that I think would be really stupid but really awesome is, you know, the game Hand Simulator?
Oh my god. Yeah.
You get a group of people, they all get put around the table, they're all like doped up on drugs. They've got like things like welded to their fingers so that they can't bend them properly.
Sounds like a Saw movie more than an anime.
Yeah, it would be a Saw. It would be like a Saw type thing, and they've got to try and kill the other people while being all like messed up on these different things.
Oh my god.
I think that'd be really stupid, but I'd watch it.
Well, I don't disagree with you there.
Even like a live action version of it would be really stupid. I would never want it to be done any more than like what's like below B quality, or is B quality kind of where we would want it to sit at?
I would say B quality, yeah.
B quality? All right. Its production valued, I would want it to be a little bit less than Scary Movie 4.
That's still a pretty big budget for like a B-rated movie.
Wait, did it really have that big of a budget?
I mean, bigger.
I guess it had a fair amount. Scary Movie, I'd want it to be around the level of Scary Movie 2.
That had like probably the biggest budget.
Really?
Yeah, let's look it up.
All right, let's go with the first Scary Movie.
Hold up, let's find out what the budgets were for these movies. I mean, the first Scary Movie had 19 million. That's still a pretty good budget.
Wow, where did all their budget go?
I would put in the budget of like Circle.
Circle?
Yeah.
What's Circle? When you said Circle, the first thing that came to my head was Steve Urkel.
Circle is an indie film on Netflix where it's just like 100 people in a room, and every 2 minutes or every minute somebody dies.
Oh wow.
They get shot with a laser.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the budget for that. Because it's just a black room and a very small budget. You just basically pay your actors and then get like a red laser.
Man, so many horror games would make great anime adaptations. The Forest, Outlast.
Yeah, but at the same time, your animes have like a set of characters they tend to follow, while those games tend to just follow one character.
But they could add other characters. You can play the Forest multiplayer. Outlast doesn't have to follow multiple characters. It can be one guy going through all these different crazy. I guess it wouldn't be as great. What about the Hunt Showdown?
Hunt Showdown? I don't know if that'd make a great anime. I think that'd make like a really good movie anime, maybe.
Oh, I guess a movie would be better for it.
I can't find
that'd be cool.
I can't find a budget
the whole supernatural
for this movie.
aspect. And if the Hunt was one, I'd see it as like a bunch of like a couple different groups are always like hired to go on this like hunt, and it's all done for sport for like these really rich people, and they bet on like the people like the different trained like killer groups.
Yeah.
So it's like in this dark world where these creatures are like captured and then like placed in these kind of like arenas type things, and then they're sent in to go and try and to kill them.
Yeah, you said you wanted to have the budget of Scary Movie 4. That had a budget of 45 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, they shouldn't have. All right, I take back everything I said about the scary movies.
Yeah, Scary Movie 3 had the highest budget. It had 48 million. But
yeah, I'm scrolling through my Steam library and there's nothing else really jumping out immediately. There's some that would be kind of cool, but nothing else where I'm like, that needs to be done. That we haven't kind of talked about already that would be similar.
Yeah, I think we got some interesting ones and we can kind of go from there. You know, we made some good decisions. We moved on.
But so, Zeo, it took us half a year, maybe a whole year. I don't remember when we started it, but we finally finished Serial Experiments Lain.
It's only taken multiple months. Ugh, it's finally over.
First impressions, what did you think of the ending?
I wasn't like overjoyed or blown away by the concept. I don't know, like I thought it was all right.
That's kind of where I was too. I wanted to like the ending. It was very melancholy with how they wrapped it up.
I mean, the whole series is melancholy.
They did kind of answer some of the questions that we had. But there were still a bunch that were still kind of confusing.
Yeah. So you know what drove me nuts the first time I saw it? When Alice went to Lane's house to go figure out where she's at or what's going on, and she walks into Lane's room. There's no more water, Spen. It's just a dry floor, and you can see the floor. There wasn't any particular thing, but the water is just magically gone.
Correct.
I'm so mad about it.
So one of the things that I'd like to bring up with that is that's the first time we've seen someone go into the room that wasn't Lain. Like, it wasn't from her perspective. It was from somebody else's.
What are you talking about? Her dad, was always at the doorway.
Yeah, he was always looking in at Lain. We weren't somebody else going into the house, seeing the state that the house was in, and then going up and talking into her. And another thing to notice too, which I thought was really neat, is we saw a part. It was a huge difference in the last episode when we see the girls going to school and we hear the music in the background.
I thought the same thing.
Extra little noises.
The last 2 episodes, I'm like, the sound design in this show is like, this is way better than the entire series. I felt almost reinvigorated watching these last 2 episodes. Like, this isn't as bad as I remember it being.
But in those moments, Lain it was at that moment Lain had erased herself from existence.
Oh, yeah, the ending. Oh, the very ending. Yeah, yeah. But even the sound design in like episode 10 before she did all that, I thought the sound design was just better.
Oh, I didn't notice anything in episode 10 for that.
I guess. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just had my mind so dragged down I didn't notice it. But for some reason, episode 10 stood out to me in terms of sound design. Like, I didn't think the music was very great, but yeah, they went all out for the ending with Alice and her eliminating
that was
herself.
The world then without Lain, without the effects of the wire.
Yeah.
Having that connection. Mm-hmm. Suddenly the world was very different. Everybody, there was life in everything, whereas we hadn't seen anything like that in any of the episodes before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of even the shadows in that weird dark, like black and red.
Like that.
Were they still like that?
Yeah, I did notice that. Because when they showed the dad and the mom, whoever they were, having breakfast or something, they showed the porch, and the shadows are still there.
Okay. I didn't see that. I missed that.
That was just an artistic choice.
Okay. But, I don't know, I think what's very different about this show, compared to a lot of shows, is a lot of shows, oh god, I wrote it down here. So, shows go out of their way, for the longest time, let me restart that.
Okay.
Shows go out of their way to make sure that we kind of know what's going on, or at least to eventually kind of wrap things up and give us ideas as to why things are happening. Whereas with this show, it was very different, where it answered some things, but for the most part, it left it up to us to kind of figure out or even decide elements that were happening and why they happened.
Yeah, I read a lot. People saying that this is the show you have to watch like 2, possibly 3 times to really kind of understand it, just because there's so much that will pass you by.
Yes.
I don't like that. I don't.
No, that's completely fair.
I don't see, and the weird thing is I like movies and TV shows even where you pick up new things when you watch it, but you don't need to watch it for it to make sense. If that makes
that's completely fair.
So like, I feel like I shouldn't have to watch this twice for me to understand the story. I should be able to understand the narrative it was trying to tell through the first viewing, and then pick up nice, Easter eggs and cherries on top, things that will add to my experience on multiple viewings later. Not so much something that I have to watch again for it to make sense. You shouldn't have to do that for a story, I feel.
So if you're okay with this, I finished watching the last 2 episodes, and then for the sake of this podcast, I rewatched the whole show again.
Oh my god, Spen, was it better the second time?
It was, and there's a few things I'd like to mention to you here.
Okay.
That I picked up on the second playthrough that I think were really neat, that might kind of change your opinion a little bit. At the end of the second playthrough, I still wasn't sure, or the second watching, I still wasn't sure if I liked it. I still wasn't sure if it was worth going through all of it. Because there's still a lot of stuff that I don't understand. I'm going to be going and watching like a bunch of videos where people try to explain what's going on with the show.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things, earlier on in the show, do you remember some of the guesses that we took as to what was going to be happening and what was going to be going on?
No. Do you remember some of the guesses we took?
There's not too many of them, and it's been so long since we've gone through stuff.
We took a big break.
One of the ones that came back to me is during the nightclub scene,
where the guy shoots
when
himself.
they went. Yeah, at that point there was a period of time where we talked about we weren't really sure what was going on, and we thought maybe there could be two lanes.
Yeah.
Maybe there was like a conscious Lain and then a subconscious Lain. So like when Lane's awake, she's herself, but when she goes to sleep, maybe there's something else that kind of takes over.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
So I think in some ways we were kind of close.
Okay.
I think there are two lanes, eventually more lanes, but there's a conscious Lain. So there's a Lain in the real world. And then there's another Lain that's in the cyber world.
Yeah, they kind of established that towards the end, and she's like, I was never there, but I was everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think they're kind of like they're the same person. I think the cyber... It's hard to say. I think that Lain is kind of like... Maybe she's the god of this whole world, right? And she wanted to see what it was like to live in the real world. So she set up a situation and put herself in it and kind of like picked and chose like a family maybe to take care of her or something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think maybe there's something like that. And then originally there was and it's kind of neat with the second watch through where there was the Lain. She's very shy. She's very timid. Mm-hmm. But as she starts interacting with the wire, once she finally gets connected to it and she starts interacting with it, we see immediately there's an immediate change between like her when she's herself and her when she's using the computer, which is very similar to what a lot of people do today, where they've got their like real world persona, and then there's always that internet persona that's a little different, even if it's just slightly in certain ways, or for some people it's a lot more extreme. And at first we only see one or the other. But eventually we start to notice different times where she kind of like switches back and forth, even in like the real world, like at the nightclub where she does that switch. And it's almost like she switches to that persona that she uses when she's online, where she goes up and talks to that guy that's about to shoot the gun.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's hard to say because there's also at the same time, like there's other events going on in The Wire. Mm-hmm. Like there's that episode later on where there's the two guys in the black suits. They take her to some sort of lab. I don't remember what it's called. And the guy starts interrogating her and asking her questions about, who are you? Where are you from? And she doesn't know. She's trying to like recall that information, but she has no idea.
Yeah.
And then he goes and she fixes the computer for him. And then he shows her some stuff and it's like the evil Lain or whatever doing different things. And then that's... Oh shoot! I forgot where I was going with that.
Two different lanes.
Yeah. God, I don't know. It's so hard and confusing.
Yeah, like I get whoever the creator of this, the manga and then the show, obviously had like a deep meaning, and I could see the obvious story of like how the internet can control the world and how people can get absorbed to it, and especially like nowadays when most of the world is connected through the internet, right? And how we communicate. So I do think it's one of those animes that has a message that can really resonate with people today. I just think the way it went about it was probably wrong. I wouldn't say wrong. Lack of a better word, just uninteresting.
Well, it's because I was looking up some stuff to do with it, and Serial Experiments Lain came out a little bit after Evangelion did. And Evangelion, have you seen Evangelion?
I have not.
Okay, never mind. I'm not even going to bring up the example. It's hard to... The only thing I'll really say about it is Evangelion kind of did something similar to what this show did, but Evangelion was more about kind of like hyper showing like the internal thought processes of what like teenagers were going through, kind of like taking So it went through and it really did that, whereas Serial Experiments Lain seemed to kind of go more along the lines of like hyper showing kind of like that alternate online persona.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I remember where I was going with before now, and I think this is kind of important. I want to sorry to kind of jump around a bit, but I mean, hey,
good.
it's nothing new with the show. Um, so there's the two different lanes. There's real Lain and then cyber Lain. And there, at some point, she ends up interacting with the computer, and I think it's at that moment that maybe this other Lain comes into existence, and it starts having an effect on different things. And as she starts doing more with building her computer and working on stuff, there's more dialogue that comes up talking about how the world is being connected to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things early on is that this other Lain was showing up in that cyber cafe, and she was interacting with people there. But what we also know right away is the first time they go into the cyber cafe, that the cyber cafe is connected to the wire. So this other alternate Lain, or the cyber Lain, would have an easy access into interacting with people there at the cyber cafe. Because in the beginning, that's the only place that we ever hear about her having interactions with stuff. And then a couple episodes later in, we start to hear there's different stuff about how the border between the wire and the world is becoming closer and closer. And they're starting to become more connected. And that's when we start seeing the other Lain kind of showing herself and interacting more in the real world. And there's also other evidence that starts to show this connection, like when those two black suit guys are spying up in her room, and she sees them and she yells for them to stop, and there's that like force that explodes from her, and then it makes the little gadget on the guy's face explode. And so there's tons of different hints throughout the show going through the second time that prove and show how the connection between the world and the wire is starting to get stronger and stronger, and how it's having effects on the different world. As well as there's many times where the show really wants us to, and it hints to us that Lain isn't from that world, that she's different.
Yeah.
Because there'll be questions about the memory and what's going on, and she doesn't really understand what's happening, or she bypasses things. And then I don't know, there are a lot of really subtle things like that make the watch through a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I don't I can understand that, and I can see that. And as you're describing it, it does make sense. I don't think the show is bad per se. It's just something I really don't enjoy. I like shows that can make me confused, but I like it to all wrap up at the end. I feel like they took a lot of time to kind of give you the happy ending for all those characters, but they also didn't explain anything leading up to it. That what was it, episode 9 or 8, where half the episode felt like it was just kind of recounting all the events that happened.
Well, this is the way, like, reading more into the show. The show, its goal is not to give you answers. It's for you to, if you want to, go and find them. Like, it's not gonna. There's tons of stuff that's all speculation on, and people like trying to find evidence and combine it together.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not a show where that'll ever give you answers itself. It's kind of like you've got to.
It's not that it has to give answers, but it needs to make its story heard. Like the story has to come to even if it's an open-ended conclusion, it still has to have some form of a conclusion, and it has to wrap up what it starts.
It does kind of have a conclusion.
It has a conclusion for Alice, and yeah, it helps those characters, I would say, move on. And then you see Lain as apparently a god who can then come into the real world again and become a little girl that sees Alice in the future.
Well, so we do have, I guess it's tough. There is a bit of a conclusion in the sense where the story of Serial Experiments Lain, now that we've seen it, is Lain, as far as like Lain shows up into this world, and then there's this other force that's trying to communicate with her and try and bring her into the wire and have her a part of it and try and control that, and kind of control her. And we see that through the Knights. And do you remember the name Isami? I believe it's like Eri or something like that.
No.
So in that flashback sequence that it talks about the world itself and kind of like the origin of the Wire. And most of that stuff is just useless information that's not really actually needed for anything. The only stuff that's important in there is Isami. I think it's Isami Iri, and the idea of the whole like the Earth having some sort of like resonance that eventually, once enough people are on the world, it'll like act as some sort of like it almost like they'll be like the neurons in the world will come alive. But the reason why Isami Iri is important is he's kind of like the one that it's said that he kind of like was really close to and almost a part of the Wire. And then he had some mysterious death that they were unsure of. And then that God figure, the guy that claimed to be God that had those 2 red lines down his face, that's Isami Iri. So he ended up going into the Wire when he killed himself and became a part of the Wire. And then I don't know if this is true. I think this is. That girl that died in the beginning, it's very possible that wasn't her that was sending those emails, but it was the Knights sending emails trying to get Lain to come under their control. And so to reconnect to the Wire so they could use her. Because the Knights are kind of like, they worship Isami as this god.
Yeah.
So they... And there's a lot of evidence of them trying to mess with her. There's the 2 big ones is the first one I don't really know if it's them, but I think it is. I think they were the ones messaging everybody in the school under the pretense of being that girl to try and convince, using the conversation to convince Lain to go and connect to it. But then there's also moments like when she receives that chip that she went to go and she brought that kid back with her to her house to find out more about the chip. And then that's when he explained that he was a knight and they were, or maybe he was trying to be a knight, and they, the chip was, as soon as she installed the chip, it was going to kind of like mess with her brain and maybe like wipe parts of her memory so that way Asami could then go in and influence her properly and kind of control her. And I think, because he always used to think that he was a god, or he was trying to convince her that he was a god. And then I don't remember if it was the last episode or the second last episode, when her friend ends up coming into the house, and Lain has that interaction with him where he's trying to like do the final steps of come in and convince her like, hey, you know what? There's something wrong with you. There's a bug. Let me fix you. He was trying to convince her that she was some sort of program. But everything that he was ever talking to her about, he was lying to her to try and like influence her so he could control her and use her. And it was the actual hero of the story is actually her friend, because she came in and was there with Lain at that bright moment to be like, look, no, I'm alive and so are you. We're people. It was kind of a cheesy thing. Kind of lame. They could have done that a little bit better. But then it was at that moment where Lain realized like, hey, wait a minute, that guy's not a god. I am. And then she killed him. And then after that, she wiped herself and kind of the Wire from the memories of the world. And then she just became like this kind of like passive deity, air quotation marks, kind of watching over it.
Yeah. No, I understood that ending of it all. I get the obvious ending that was there. I guess I'm just too stupid to understand a lot of the subtlety in between.
Well, I only saw a bunch of that because I rewatched it again.
I don't know. I don't hate the show, but I will never watch it again.
Okay,
and
that's fair.
Probably something I wouldn't recommend. I don't know.
No, it's not something I'd recommend to anybody.
I like the concepts. I like those types of shows. It's weird because I love those types of movies and other shows, but I just think the narrative structure is what really struggled for me. The lack. I don't know. I felt like there was a lot missing to help convey some things. Like I get some small moments. They had some really good, compelling moments. There's some moments where I was really into, but then they did a lot of jumping around without explanation. I felt it was hard to really follow where it was going. And I think we talked last week after the podcast where I think if Lain just was more aimless kind of in the show rather than having like a goal in mind that helped anybody pull along with her to like have a mission for the anime. I think that probably would have helped for me as well. I don't know. It's hard because it just seemed like a lot of meandering and not much happening other than she's getting sucked into the wire. And I get it was more psychological and definitely a piece to tell us about like how we interact with the internet and how valuable we view it and how it can affect our lives. Like they did a pretty good job conveying characters being too into their VR system or whatever it was called.
Navi?
The Navi, yeah, being too into the Navi and being part of that VR cafe, and like you could see how it affected people and like how much control it had over their lives.
Well, what's kind of neat with this world is they talked earlier on about how the Navi works. Is it's kind of like you're communicating through the wire. It's like you're communicating with your subconscious with other subconsciouses through the wire.
Yeah,
And then with the whole like resonant stuff, with the short explanation that we got of that in the one episode where it like how the resonances kind of come out and spread out, and that's kind of how they help like how it helped make the wire.
mm-hmm.
With the wire having such a prominent effect on the world, it kind of makes more sense as to why the world was the way it was, where everything was a little bit more kind of like monotone, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Whereas once she erased herself and the wire from the world, then suddenly everybody was full of more life, more energy. We got to see all these other characters kind of, even like the color palette itself was a bit brighter too, which was kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
And so it just, I don't know. I loved seeing the differences of all that too.
No, I
don't know.
I agree that the ending I thought was nice. I did enjoy the ending, and I did like how he had a vision for showing how the world was pre and post Lain existing in the world. I kind of wish there were just more defining differences between the real world and when she was in the wire, and because there's a lot of moments that I'm interchange where she's in the wire at this point, she's out of the wire at this point. I'm sure there's characteristic differences. I kind of wish it was just a little more obvious. Again, it's one of those things where I shouldn't have to watch the show twice to grasp the story. It was a little too convoluted for me.
Yeah, and this show, its goal was never to do that kind of stuff. So it's, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to like invalidate anything of what you're saying.
It accomplished its goal entirely.
Yeah. Well, it's a good way for me to explain it is, I really didn't like Life is Strange 2 versus the first one, because in the second one, there wasn't that concrete goal. So I never kind of knew what was going on. And because of that, I wasn't really able to get into the game. Whereas kind of like with you with this, there was never like a goal or an objective that was laid out. So we never really knew what was going on or what was even supposed to be happening. It was just very casual, just kind of Lain going about things.
Yeah.
And then things were happening around her, but we didn't know why, and there was no real reason for us to kind of keep going episode for episode.
I think that's probably why the last two episodes engaged me a little more than the rest of it, is because it created a goal at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see kind of where it was going, and you could see like, oh, hey, there's a big baddie that we had to defeat, even though, I mean, there's nothing terribly exciting that happened, but you saw a more emotional side of it all. You could see the progression, and then you actually saw the resolution there. But yeah, I think, I don't know, something about the last two episodes I thought were definitely more gripping than the rest of the show. It had some really good moments for me throughout the show. I do think it was fascinating and had a really good concept. I just wish it was probably a little more obvious for dumb people like me.
Well, you shouldn't say it like that, Zeo.
No, that's my review, Spen. That's my review. I'm sticking to it.
Something else I'd like to try adding in. If Lain, I guess this is an if scenario. The whole first part, or basically everywhere up until the last two episodes where you're saying you really liked it. I think we were kind of experiencing the show through the eyes and the thoughts of Lain, and because she wasn't human. she didn't have any memories of the past. She didn't really fully understand what was going on either. I wonder if because of that, that was it's like the writer wanted us to kind of experience everything kind of like the same way she was.
Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of change if that's what his goal was? It's kind of what it feels like his goal was. Does that kind of change your perspective?
Not even a little bit, because I think there's
Okay.
better ways to do it.
Okay.
I think again, he had a story. He obviously wanted to tell it a certain way, and he told it that way. And I think he accomplished his goal. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad story. I just think there's too much missed, and it
That's
made
fair.
it really hard just to follow along. Like I switched back to dub for the last 2 episodes, and it helped me. I think it was the voice acting seemed better too, oddly enough.
Well, I think I wonder if that was a choice where they wanted it to be better in those last. And so there were certain things in the previous where they're like, no, this is kind of how Lain, or this is kind of like the perspective we're going for with Lain. We're wanting everything to feel kind of unnatural.
Yeah.
So we want you to do the voices this kind of way in this kind of tone.
I think that is a struggle for a series, because the issue I have with it is at this point the director made an artistic decision. And it's a very artistic anime. However, I don't think it's a very entertaining anime. So
I think one of the big differences for us too is early on, the game sucked me in, and I was absolutely in love with the atmosphere and the whole
the game?
everything of the show.
Oh, you said game. Sorry, I was so confused for a second.
Sorry. We were talking about games earlier. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
For me with the show, the atmosphere just sucked me in, and I was all into it. And you didn't have that first initial kind of like.
No, I had a very negative experience. I was really focused on the design sounding poor. It just sounded like it had an artistic vision that he went with, and that was he made an artistic choice, and I think that's great for I'm glad he showed his vision. The
more I like it.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it more. You talk about. I dislike it the more I talk about it.
Because all of that extra sound design taken away is very. It kind of loses some of that stuff that it's almost like it's a little bit more inhuman. Like there's certain things that Lain can't experience because she's not a human. And so there's less of it that she would notice or be able to pick up on. So if we're experiencing the first section, like again, this is all speculation, who really knows?
Yeah.
But if we're experiencing those first 10, 11 episodes as from Lain's perspective, then it makes more sense for it to be that way if he's going for that. And it just makes...
Again, I understand it, but there's different ways to go about it too. You can do it on a more entertaining way as well. You don't have to have bad voice acting, bad sound design.
They're not going for the entertaining aspect.
I know,
of it.
That's why I said he made an artistic choice rather than a choice for the entertainment of the show.
Yeah. Well, the more we talk about it, I don't really have much else to say on the show, but the more I talk about it, the more I like it. But it's not a show I'd ever really recommend to someone unless they were like huge hardcore into anime and they were just out of things and just had nothing to watch.
I would only recommend this to somebody if somebody told me I want something like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind in an anime, but more confusing.
Well, I think the big differences then too is just, I don't know. I was gonna say the big differences is I watched it a second time and the atmosphere sucked me in where it didn't for you.
I refuse to watch it a second time because the story shouldn't need that.
All right. Well, we've both got different opinions on what stories could need.
So what's your final? Are you a woo or a boo?
I'm gonna give it a woo.
I'm gonna give it a boo. Not gonna hate on it. I respect its decisions, and I acknowledge the deep meanings it's trying to convey about technology mixing with our world and the repercussions it can have. I can see that, but I don't think it was an entertaining anime.
Yeah, I don't think it was very entertaining either, but I thought, as someone who loves art, I enjoyed the artistic experience of this anime.
It's fair.
I think that's the safest, best way I can put it.
I also
I enjoyed the artistic experience of this anime.
I also love art, but I don't watch anime for the artistic experience. I watch anime to make me feel better.
Yeah, well, this definitely wasn't one for that. This was one to make you think and not give you answers so that you had to continue thinking. And then you had to rewatch it again so that you could think more. And then even then,
are you gonna watch it a third time?
Thinking. No, I definitely will not watch this show ever again.
All right.
But I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. No, I'm glad we watched this. I like the fact that we have different opinions on things. It's almost every anime we've watched, I think we've had different opinions on.
Well, yeah, because you've got dumb reasons. I'm just kidding.
No, that's fair. I'm dummy. I'm a dumbhead.
No, you're not a dummy. No, it's just I've always really liked this kind of atmosphere, and I think because of that, I was more prone to be able to accept it. And it's definitely other shows have done this kind of atmosphere a lot better.
The thing, Spen, is I also love that type of atmosphere and storytelling. I just think this show did it poorly. I don't think he made decisions to create a compelling narrative. I think he just did it to have an artistic view and pushed that out. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of people who love the show. The show is highly regarded, and I'm clearly a minority in this. This point of view.
I don't think it. I don't know. I don't know if it should be highly regarded. I feel like this is the kind of show that would be if there was like a school where you went to learn about anime.
Yeah.
I think this would be one that you would have to have a class on it.
Yeah, I agree. This is a class. This is the type that has like a lot of different varying opinions that could range from pretentious to convoluted to people having simple-minded ideas of it, like myself.
Well, the one thing I want to do is I want to read the manga and see how its style and direction goes compared to the anime.
That I would agree with that. I would be fascinated to read the manga as well. I would be down for that too. If you get a digital
right, so
manga,
we're starting another podcast. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, where we read manga and then we judge the manga.
No, that's not happening.
But yeah, I think we gave our ratings, and I'm glad we're past this. I'd love to move on to our next chapter for the anime book club. I cannot wait.
What are we watching next?
I don't know. You made a suggestion after the podcast like 2 weeks ago, and I just don't remember what that suggestion was.
Really? Because I thought you made a suggestion, and that was what we were going to go with.
Was it me?
I don't remember what it. I think so.
I don't think I did though. Did I?
Well, we could pick something right now.
Sure, let's do it. Let's pick something.
We're gonna watch
right
all
now.
of Naruto.
Oh God. Can we? I don't want to watch something so long. I don't know. What do we got? It has to be something on Funimation and or Crunchyroll. Something that our fans can also have easier access finding, right?
30 best anime of all time.
30 best anime of all time.
Oh man. One that I'd really like to watch with you, but we shouldn't do it this go around, is Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World.
Okay.
Because it's basically a show. It's a popular comedy isekai anime, but it's done to kind of like make fun of anime and isekai at the same time.
Okay.
But we definitely need to take a break before we do. Like, we need to watch something else before we can do, I think, Konosuba.
All right. I want to watch. Let's see. We should watch something.
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
No, Spen. I haven't. Yes.
I wish we could do My Hero. I want to rewatch that again.
I've seen Cowboy Bebop more times than I should probably say.
So, guys, we've decided we're going to be doing Death Note for the next one.
Yeah, we're going to do the classic old Death Note. Such a good anime. Spen's never seen it.
That's not true. I saw the live-action movie, and that's all I need to see.
Never seen the anime, and I haven't seen it basically since it first came out. So it'll be almost like a whole new experience for us. And Spen, I believe this is a 37 episodes long.
Wow, that's a lot.
How do you want to break this one out?
Wow, it released the same year that Naruto Shippuden did.
Interesting.
I still like the 2 episodes at a time.
Okay.
That's a good pace for me.
Okay.
Because then it's not too many episodes to watch in a go. Because once we get to 3 episodes, it kind of starts to get a little bit of a mix talking about them.
Yeah, that's fair. I think 2 episodes is enough.
Yeah, and then we'll come up with a little bit more structure for talking about the episodes too.
Yeah. So there you go, everybody.
It was
Death
hard.
Note.
It was hard to really do a structure with Lain because it was just kind of like we didn't really know anything that was going on.
It's true. It was really hard.
So,
but yeah, we're gonna do Death Note, everybody. Get excited. Get happy. It's gonna be.
Yeah, I am excited.
It's gonna be a fun ride.
I hope it doesn't suck.
I don't think it will.
If it's anything like Serial Experiments Lain, I'll probably be okay with it.
Well, you're in for a fun ride.
But that's all the time we've got for the podcast, so we're going to wrap things up here. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, why not hit us a like button? And if you want to see more of it, you can subscribe. We also do a web series called No Man's Sky. Or no, it's not called No Man's Sky. It's called Next to Nothing, and it takes place in No Man's Sky. And yeah, Toll also does another one. What's the one called in...
he does Unsatisfactory, which is in the game
Unsatisfactory, which takes place in Satisfactory. Are you satisfied? Because that was dumb. Let's just move on.